On today's episode of T-shirt driving, we're changing more bushings. The sway bar bushings to the Powerflex race version, and also, yes, these are a aluminum solid bushings for the steering rack from Alex the Machinist. So we're going to show you how to do that. I already have the stock sway bar removed since the engine's out. It's super easy. You just lower the subframe and out comes the sway bar. So we're going to show you exactly how to do that. So once the sway bar is out, it's time to remove the stock bushing. So to remove the top bracket, I just get a flathead screwdriver, insert, pry a little, and it pops right off. Then there's a little cutout here that you just open up, stock bushing comes right off. There is the metal plate on the bottom, which we'll be removing probably with some heat to get it to come off. And onto this, probably not necessary. I ran a iBox sway bar before, which was bigger, and it didn't have this bottom plate either. It just had a new top plate, so we'll see. Maybe I might make one, maybe not. Maybe just heat this off and use that. We'll see in a second. Anyways, continuing on, open up, off it comes. So now it's essential to clean this up. We're gonna re-grease everything so that way these slide on, there's no squeaking, and that's probably the easiest bushing install I've done. So, okay, let's continue. So you guys have seen this before on my previous video on greasing, so we're gonna grease the outside a little bit. It's not gonna be pivoting on the outside, it's just to help it snug in. If there is a little bit of movement, there's not gonna be any squeaking. But the main part we wanna lubricate is the inside and around the sway bar itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. You guys don't need to see that, but I will show you me putting on the bushings. So with the opening, we're going to, as best as I can show you, I think that's more of the tricky part, is open this up, new fresh set of gloves so there's no dirt on them, cleaned everything and re-greased. We are going, and this is very greasy, open and slide. Easy as that. That one is on. Same thing on the other side. Let's pull it over. Ooh. Find that. Get it on. Slide it with some pressure. Open. There we go. And it's on. And there you go. There's the bushing install. So when we are installing the bushings on the steering rack, these are the pedals. Here's your steering rack. There's a bolt here. I'm going to be removing this bolt so that way when I lower the subframe and everything, since that's the easy part for me since the engine is out, it'll make my life easier just to be able to remove the whole steering rack from the car, remove the whole subframe from the car, and reinstall everything since we already have everything out of the way. Let's see. It's not an 8. It is a 10 millimeter. That is your bolt. Then from that, steering rack, in essence, when I lower the subframe, should just slip out of that since there's no more clamping force holding it together. Okay, to disconnect the subframe, let's try that again. There are 4 bolts. 1, 2 at these top ones, and then 3 and 4, all of which have been loosened a decent amount. I want to go ahead and remove those, and then we can lower the subframe. All 4 bolts have been removed that are holding the subframe. We're gonna lower everything nice and carefully. And make sure the steering rack comes out nice and smooth. Boom. Woo! Drop it down. There we go. That's how you drop your subframe. This makes it easy to reinstall the sway bar. So we've got the vise here. I'm going to use a massive socket, a 32mm socket, and an extra spark plug socket I have to kind of push out the bushing. For those of you that don't have a press at home, this can work just fine and dandy too for pressing out these bushings. I think the rest is done with the hammer. See how close that is? There it goes. So we have all three out. That worked brilliantly with the socket. Again, it was a 32mm, and then just a spark plug socket, the 5/8 with the vise over here. And then to get the last bit out, hammer with the socket, and they popped out. Now we're going to be putting in our new ones. Probably going to use the vise. I'll clean these up a little bit, add a tiny bit of grease, but you guys will see me pushing them in with the vise. Not move that. I have both sides. That side just pressed in super easy. Doesn't even look like I actually need to use the vise, as you just saw. Can't get them out now. That's what happens when you have greasy hands. They just slide right in. No machining involved. There's no wiggle room. They're pretty solid, so don't need the vise. Let's close that up. Everything's in the way. Okay. Also, I left the top ones in, but the bottom ones would slide out, so I get to insert those. One. Two. And one more. Three. Alright. So that's the steering rack. It's not bolted in. I'm just going to put, I'm going to Loctite these later, but for right now, I'm just putting them in so that way we can line up our sway bar. Alright, that's not moving very much. Next up, the sway bar. Make sure the bushing is facing the correct way. We get our top hat for it. We get our bolts for it, which with stuff in the way doesn't make it easy. See if I can get the first one just threaded in a little bit. Feels threaded a bit. Now, because these aren't rubber, they want to retain their shape a lot more. They don't have as much flex as the rubber does, so that's why if it looks like I'm having a difficult time pressing it in, that is the reason why. Now, we're going to lift this up nice and slowly, insert our shaft into the hole, ba-boom, and all should be good. I'm just going to hand tight these for now again. I'll get Loctite in a little bit. If you look in there, you can see the shaft has a slotted groove, so it can only go in one of two ways. So as long as you don't really move the shaft too much, you'll pretty much know where to line it up so you can't screw it up. Again, don't make sure you rotate that 180. Don't do that. If it moves a little bit here or there, you'll still be pretty close to lining it up. So I just have a little rotation, it looks like, and it should slide right in. So I'm gonna jack this up and more or less bolt it in I might loosen this up so I can get those all fitted. Bolts. So put these guys in.
Need some more cardboard, Peter?
So the shaft is in there. I'm gonna loosen these up so there's a little bit of play. I'm gonna be messing with the inside. See if I get the shaft on top of it. Hopefully I didn't move it too much. This hasn't moved too much. The inside wheel I know was supposed to be straight up and down, so that's okay. Again, this is to line up that shaft. Some wiggle room works really good for that. So here's our shaft. The steering wheel hasn't moved, so that's good. I definitely have plenty of play and stuff, but let's see if I can get this to slide over. Oh, is that it? Yep, I just need a little rotation because I turned it. And there you go. That is in. We put our bolt in. I don't know how good the camera didn't come out because of the bright light on the other side, but there you go. And then we just tighten everything up and call it a day. There you have it. We did our bushings for our sway bar, our solid bushings for the steering rack, and it is all back in here. Again, Loctite everything. You don't want your steering rack to come loose. I will be doing that again as a reminder in probably in 10 minutes. I gotta run to the store and grab Loctite. But that's how you install this. And also, when you remove your subframe, make sure to mark it. It's very important. You've probably noticed in a couple of my videos it's been shifting and moving and stuff like that. And I'm not worried about it because it's marked. So I don't have to worry about proper lineup because I marked it. I know where it goes because it's moved around quite a bit. And even when you look at it, there's quite a bit of play, so it can move a lot. So if you think you could just unbolt it and put it back in and everything will be fine, no, it's going to be slightly tweaked. So make sure to mark it on all four corners of where it bolts into the chassis. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time with a transmission rebuild. And when I say rebuild, it's more of we're installing an LSD, a final drive ratio, and I'm going to go through all the spiderweb different steps that I've went through and the things that you need, because there are quite a lot of things you need. Some special bearings that you can only get from Europe and not from America. And then the importance of taking it to a transmission shop when you are swapping out the final drive, at least the gear sets, so that way you're not ruining anything and you can be self-assured that it's taken care of, because I don't have the tools to press and unpress gears, and I'm pretty sure you don't either, unless your job is to rebuild transmissions every day. So, see you next week. For those of you observant to notice, I forgot to put the boot back on the steering rack, so off camera, I'm gonna go do that. Put this back on. Oops. See you next time.